Okay.
Why don't I read a couple and
Go
then
ahead,
read
there
a
you go.
couple? Okay. Number 1. Illusions will not last. Their death is sure, and this alone is certain in their world. It is the ego's world because of this. What is the ego? But a dream of what you really are. A thought you are apart from your creator, and a wish to be what he created not. It is a thing of madness, not reality at all. A name for namelessness is all it is. A symbol of impossibility, a choice for options that do not exist. We name it, but to help us understand that it is nothing but an ancient thought that what is made has immortality. But what could come of this except a dream, which, like all dreams, can only end in death? 2. What is the ego? Nothingness, but in a form that seems like something. In a world of form, the ego cannot be denied, for it alone seems real. Yet could God's Son, as he created him, abide in form or in a world of form? Who asks you to define the ego and explain how it arose? Can be but he who thinks it real, and seeks by definition to ensure that its elusive nature is concealed behind the words that seem to make it so.
Okay, so no, as the Course would call this, the ego is connected with fear-based thought system. False evidence appearing real. So, again, if you look at the way the Course is presenting this, the Course would say, when an ego has a thought, the thought can be experienced, but the thought is not true in terms of ultimate reality, and that's why it's temporary. At some point, it's changeable. Not only changeable, but it will disappear. It didn't exist to begin with. The whole premise of the Course is that the only thing that's real is God and love. That's what's real. The rest, everything else that is not based on love, is not real. It's an illusion. Now that's hard for us to say, oh wait a minute, you can't tell me that I didn't wake up this morning and do this and do that, and you can't tell me it's not real. Of course would say, it's not real, that experience you just had.
I guess it depends then on the definition of reality.
Well, it would. And you know, in this play that I was talking about, I remember writing something just last week about how you could compare the dream experience we're having to reality by looking at, say, a shadow versus the image. I mean, the image, you know, the shadow image versus what is. Both can be seen. I could look at a shadow. I could watch the shadow move. And I could be consumed with that and think, that's real. Right? For all of eternity, I could look at the shadow. But then one day I wake up and I see the real thing. Now what do I recognize? I recognize the shadow was never real to begin with.
So is this table real or not?
Relatively speaking, in this dimension of time and space, is real within the illusion. Yes. As long as you hold your mind and you focus on this dimension and you say, I'm a human being, I'm comprised of these cells, molecules, atoms, what have you, so does this. This is equally a part in the dream as you are, as that body. The Course would say, you're equally a part and both are equally an illusion. Even the body. The Course also says a body is nothing more than a means of communication. It's what we use to communicate. That's how we should view the body.
I suppose.
But anyway, I didn't write the Course. This is I'm defining, you know, the way in which the Course is presenting.
And the fact that this table is an illusion, I guess if you go to physics, then you could readily accept the fact that it's mostly space, and it's not solid as it appears, but is mostly nothingness, with a few little particles buzzing around and vibration and moving, which does not appear to be happening. They're all vibrating little atoms and molecules and so on. So is that the real part?
Well, I would say now that's one element. That's one part. You're looking at one part. Is there a greater part? Is there something greater than the picture that you just painted with the molecules moving around and the atoms moving around? Can you go beyond that? Again, I wrote something in an email to this individual out in California, talking about a thought exists within a thought, within a thought, within a thought. And if you're going to be talking about creation, the dimensions of time and space that we've talked about many times, within each dimension there are aspects and different attributes of that dimension, but that exists within a greater field, and then that one exists in a greater field, different frequencies. So which one is not real? Once you awaken to something greater, what you used to know is no longer relevant. It's no longer your limit. While you're living within it, that's the limitation. That's it. That's where humankind is today, for the most part, in this dimension. This is real. This is the real world. Don't talk to me about anything other than this, because this is it. This is the real world. Well, obviously, as you just indicated, science is catching up to a point where they're starting to show that what we thought to be true, what we believe to be true, is not necessarily the way it is.
Right.
So now, all of a sudden, we have to question our beliefs. What is real? What is true? Course would say the only thing that's real and constant is God's love, or God being love, not God's love, because you can't separate. God is that which is, all of it. In terms of what is real, I would go and say, is God then not part of the illusion? Obviously, you're here, I'm here, we're all here. We're looking at things from the human perspective. We're having an experience. Is that experience not real in terms of creation?
The only thing that's real is God, and God is love. That must be closer to what we would call energy. And I'm not even sure if we can adequately describe.
I would say
what
you
that
can't
is.
even describe. You couldn't even.
Because it encompasses
Right.
everything.
It encompasses everything. So the thing is,
Everything has energy.
well, let me say this: even before the energy is part of that which is even beyond energy. Where did the energy come from, for example?
Well, I would...
Now, this is where we're getting into formless.
I'd venture to say that it always was and always is.
Okay.
If that's... God always was and always is, always will be, eternal, and so is energy. I think they're somewhat, if not synonymous, at least connected and interchangeable in some ways.
Yeah, along with matter, energy, and...
But all matter has energy
Right.
as a part of it. Every single
Yeah.
particle, every single whirling little orbit, it's all vibrating, it all has energy, or what we would
As we
use the
perceive
word.
it and understand it relative to this dimension. Now, if you could take ourselves to a greater level of understanding, all of a sudden the physical properties are altered. But we'll leave it at that for this dimension. For this dimension, let's just say that energy and matter are interchangeable and they're all interconnected with the whole. Okay.
Can we read the next two?
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Number 3. There is no definition for a lie that serves to make it true, nor can there be a truth that lies conceal effectively. The ego's unreality is not denied by words, nor is its meaning clear because its nature seems to have a form. Who can define the undefinable? And yet there is an answer, even here. Good. I hope there is. 4. We cannot really make a definition for what the ego is, but we can say what it is not. And this is shown to us with perfect clarity. It is from this that we deduce all that the ego is. Look at its opposite, and you can see the only answer that is meaningful. Okay? 5. The ego's opposite in every way, in origin, effect, and consequence, we call a miracle. And here we find all that is not the ego in this world. So they're saying the world is there's really just there's the ego and falsehood, and then there's the miracle, which is reality. Okay?
Okay?
And here we find all that is not the ego in this world. Here is the ego's opposite, and here alone we look on what the ego was. For here we see all that it seemed to do, and cause and its effects must still be one. Okay?
So basically it's saying, again, your belief in the ego is what's keeping the ego alive. For here we see all that it seemed to do. It's a perception. As you change your perception, you alter the experience of the moment. So if you went back to the Bible and you looked at the Bible saying God is love and God is that, which never changes. Something that's changing, is that God? Is that love? By that definition, we would have to say no, if it's changing.
Here's what I think he's saying. I think he's saying that the ego, he really is denying that the ego exists at all.
Exactly, the ego is an illusion.
And so, because it's an illusion, he's even saying, you know what? It's impossible for me even though this is called clarification of terms,
right?
I cannot define for you something that
doesn't even exist.
And if by trying to put it into words, I would be trying to convince you of something that I don't want to convince you of. I'm trying to tell you that it doesn't exist.
Get away from it.
So why would I try to define?
You don't want to validate its existence because it doesn't even exist.
But on the other hand, it's something. Here we are talking about it, writing about it. So he goes, aha. Here's the best way to figure out what the ego is, not by defining it, but by defining its opposite. And if we can get a good grip on what its opposite is, then we can say that anything that is not that is the ego.
Sounds good. So what the opposite of the ego
is the miracle.
Is the miracle, and that is the love. Right? No.
Well, I don't know yet.
The reality.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. And they're saying the ego is not real, does not really exist. It is nothing. It's an illusion.
Albeit a persistent one.
And so it's merely a term that we use for an attitude, I suppose. Attitude of what? Selfishness, or I'm not even sure what the way to describe the attitude, but the attitude is a small,
self-absorbed, self-centered.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I was searching for.
It's almost like the concept of zero in math. In other words, it's a placeholder, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we use the word ego as a sort of to define something that really is nothing. But even the concept of nothingness is, in a sense, a something.
Describing kind of the attitude that many of us have.
Well, see, I don't know. Now that makes sense.
An erroneous attitude.
But they haven't said anything about that.
No, they haven't. No. So we're trying to get a clarification in these terms and break it down again with language.
I guess I'm throwing out some of my perceptions to see if it fits with what they're saying, so that I can understand better.
But so far they haven't mentioned any of those things. So.
Well, they haven't, but they haven't and they have at the same time. Now, when you get into that next one, number 6.
Okay. 6. Where there was darkness where there was darkness, now we see light. See the light. What is the ego? What the darkness was. Where is the ego? Where the darkness was. What is it now, and where can it be found? Nothing and nowhere. Fine, once you're in reality, then everything that
It's
was before is just...
It's like darkness, which is kind of like a zero. It's the absence of light. It's,
Yeah. When you turn the light on, where did the darkness go? Right, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
nothing.
Right, you turn the light on in a room, where did the darkness go?
It's
Right.
really an absence of love, I suppose, an absence of the miracle.
Well, now let's look at love the way Watkins defined love.
Watkins?
As, I think it was Watkins. Hawkins.
Okay.
And we've talked about it many times in here. Love is being a level of awareness. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you look at love as a level of awareness, and unawareness being its opposite. Okay? If I am not aware, if I'm not aware of love,
Mhm.
where am I?
Fear?
I'm into fear. I'm entertaining false evidence appearing real, which equals my ego.
Mhm.
Okay, here I am. So what I'm experiencing now, the Course now just defined as darkness. That's darkness. I'm unaware. I'm not aware of
Darkness
love.
being absence of light.
Absence of-
nothingness.
Absence of light, absence of understanding,
Right.
absence of being present.
Mhm.
I'm entertaining thoughts that are not real. I'm creating dramas. I'm caught up in my dreams,
Mhm.
right? Now, introduce light to this picture. The Course would say I had a miracle. Well, it's the miracle. I just dropped my fear
You turn the light.
because I turn the light on. My ego is no longer in charge. What am I doing now? I'm experiencing love. I had a miracle. Hallelujah! You thank you, Jesus. So there it is. There's the miracle. So we just saw the process of what's going on here. Not aware of love. Angry with someone, have fighting with that person, caught up in that moment. Doesn't matter what they believe. Myself, I'm only responsible for me. I'm caught up in it, I'm lost. Light, where's the light? What light? No one can bring me out of this at this moment. I'm consumed by my own anger and rage and whatever's going on within me. It took right over. Well, no outside force did this to me, obviously. My own thought, my own mind did it. We just defined an ego. There it is.
Now the light has come. Its opposite has gone without a trace.
In that moment, it's gone.
Where evil was, there now is holiness. What is the ego? What the evil was. Where is the ego? In an evil dream that but seemed real while you were dreaming it.
Exactly. What we just described. I'm caught up in its drama. There's my ego. And no one out there, and there are people that take it to that extreme that you're not going to reach them. And in this world, we've even taken it so far as to say temporary insanity. They're not even responsible for what they do. You know, oh, they weren't responsible. How could they? They were so consumed by their own thoughts in that moment that they didn't have any kind of rational or logical thinking, and they committed an act that they would not have done. They're innocent.
Have you seen the movie Inception?
I don't think so.
Oh, you need to go. It's all about this dreaming. It's
Okay.
all about dreaming, and then I don't want to give it away. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a great film.
Oh yeah?
It's in the theaters right now. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Yes, I think I heard of it, yeah.
Inception.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it because it's a dream within a dream, and then for reasons which, and they're already experts at dreaming, and then getting, and then there's a reason why they have to go within the dream into a dream.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then for some reason that they don't expect, and no one's ever attempted before, they go to another level
Yeah.
of dreaming. And so it's very complicated to keep all these levels
Gotcha.
together, you'll love it.
It's basically what
You'll love it.
creation. They're
You'll love it.
doing a depiction of the dimensions of time and space of creation.
You'll love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll love it as much as The Matrix,
Yeah, I
but
gotcha.
it's on that kind of level of like, what's real and what's a dream and that kind of thing.
See, when I see things like that and I hear things like that, it's
Yeah.
confirmation
Yeah.
that the world now is getting ready.
That other people
Other people are
about these
tuning
same
in.
things, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear this in all different. The first title, it's all one truth. You're going to find it showing itself on different ways and different places and different people,
Well,
because
for example, like one of the things, like in the dream, in Inception, right? There's a scene where it's like the guy's trying to convince one of the other people that he's dreaming, but of course he doesn't think he's dreaming. He thinks he's sitting in a hotel room having a drink, and he is sitting in a hotel room having a drink. But the other guy's saying, "Wait a minute, you're dreaming." And then he, as a proof, he goes, "Well, how can you say that? I'm sitting here having a drink and talking with you, and how can you say I'm dreaming?" He goes, "Okay, have you ever thought about this? In a dream, in a real dream, like what we would dream at night, you find yourself in a situation, but can you ever say how you got there? No. In a dream, we're just there. You're just someplace, and the story begins." So he says to one of the ways that he tries to convince this character in the novel that he's dreaming is like, "Okay, how did you get to this hotel room? Can you explain to me, why you're here or how you got here?" And the guy goes, "Wow, you're right. I'm just, here, but I don't know how I got here." So that put the idea in his mind. Well, maybe this isn't real. That kind of thing. You'll like it.
Yeah, oh,
You
I'm
will
sure.
like that movie. You should go
I'm
see
sure
it.
because
You should go see it.
The
I'll
world
go
is
with you.
moving.
If you want someone to go with, I'll go with you.
the world's moving.
I'll go see it
That's a
again.
good thing.
I'll go see it again.
So we're on number 7.
We did. I don't think we finished this. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I think I stopped in the middle. Yeah, we did. Where is the ego? In an evil dream that but seemed real while you were dreaming. Where there was crucifixion stands God's Son. So crucifixion would be the evil dream. God's Son in eternal life, in glorified, would be the reality. What is the ego? Who has need to ask? Where is the ego? Who has need to seek for an illusion now that dreams are gone? Right, exactly. When you wake up from the dream, what's the point?
Which is what the Course talks about in terms of forgiveness. It says this: forgiveness is a great step
Yeah.
towards moving yourself from one state to moving to an awareness. If I'm angry and I won't let go and I'm stubbornly going, I'm never going to forgive this son of a bitch until the day I die. Obviously, I'm never going to release that energy within me, and it's not going to go away. So the Course would say, oh, practice forgiveness. Okay, he's a rotten son of a bitch, but I'm going to be the better person, and I'm going to overlook this particular moment. I'm the better person. Well, it's still ego talking, obviously. But I've opened the door to communication. I've opened the door to change. Ultimately, when you get to the state that we just heard here, you recognize, and the Course would say, when you reach the atonement consciousness, you recognize forgiveness was not necessary because forgiveness was part of a dream that didn't even exist. That's what the
Right.
Course is basically saying.
Right, but you still need tools.
You need tools to get yourself out of it,
Right.
no question.
It's only after you get out that you can look back and say, wow, none
None of it. This is what I said at the very beginning. When I look at things and I'm talking to someone, to me it's the, don't you see? But yes, at that moment they're not seeing what I'm seeing. They're not from that vantage point. So it's not obvious.
And if you don't judge in the first place, there's no need to forgive, because you're not judging whether it's good or bad.
Sure. You can save yourself a lot of misery, a lot of the extra work, and that's not necessary. And this is where the sooner we wake up, the easier it is for us. We've release the, we've taken the short way home. Let's put it that way. I mean, this is a long way and a short way. And the quick way is don't even start something that is going to bring you down this road. And this is what where the practice comes into play, where being vigilant, you know, we're at this stage now where we're starting to become conscious of what's going on in the world and how we get ourselves caught. And then beat ourselves up because we get caught and then try to bring ourselves back. Well, obviously, the best solution is don't start down that road to begin with. You don't have to bring yourself back to where you are, i.e. stay awake. Easier said than done at times. But that is the quickest way to it's easier to maintain than to come back again. Once you develop the habits of maintaining, once you become conscious enough to be consciously cognizant of something before it starts, and this is happening, I'm sure, to everyone, along the way, you recognize things now that you didn't recognize 10 years ago that could have got you. And so, as you evolve in your level of awareness, things that would have triggered you back here won't trigger you anymore.
And the thing about a dream too, and this I think also is in the movie Inception, but also just in our common sense reality, our experience. You only know something's a dream when you wake up. Because when you're in the dream, like if you're being chased by a monster in a dream, hell, you're running.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're running. You're scared. Oh shit, a monster's after me. You run.
Right.
It's only after you wake up and say, oh, that was
How stupid.
that was ridiculous, But when you're in the dream, you're not thinking it's ridiculous. You're thinking, how am I going to get away?
Yeah.
Right? So
Life is the same thing.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So it's a good metaphor, actually.
Oh, that's a great
it's
metaphor.
a very good metaphor. A lot of parallels. Yeah.
Very, very good. Number 7. You want to do it or you want me to pick it
Oh,
up?
go ahead.
What is a miracle? A dream as well. Okay. Now, let's stop right there for a second. A dream as well. The miracle.
So
Makes
the other,
sense?
thought the other part was a dream, and
Right? Now,
the miracle was
okay.
a dream as well.
Now, why is this true? Let's break this down. What is a miracle? Okay, if the ego is looking from a fear-based thought system and it's not aware, right? Here we are, having a dream, or as Chris would just indicated to a lot of people, having a nightmare. Some people are having a nightmare. Okay, you're in a nightmare. No, nightmare. Having a nightmare. The miracle is that I have a moment of clarity.
Within the dream.
Right?
Right, but it's still in the dream.
It's still in the dream.
But it's
Okay.
like a reality
It's
reaching down
into the dream. I have a
Okay.
moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
In the dream, I'm having a moment of clarity.
Right.
But if it was a dream to begin with, and I'm having a moment of clarity bringing me back to awareness, isn't even the moment of clarity an illusion?
Yes, but it's a gift of God.
It's a gift of God.
But it's a great. It's
a great
it's
one.
a form of grace.
There's the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Here's
right.
the Holy
Who's gonna
Spirit in
come
action.
Down
Come right into your
dream.
And grab you
And grab
and
you.
say, look,
Yeah.
look.
Right. But he has to become part of the dream
Yeah.
in order
There you go.
to communicate with you, with the dreamers.
Right.
Right.
But what is the miracle? A dream as well. So what see, now, you got to remember, the Course in Miracles, this is trying to readjust your complete thought system and bring you to understanding totality. Not just a piece, but totally. So if you understand totally, then you understand that in the end, when you get fully out of all your dreams, you're timeless. Spirit's infinite. The dream was not real. So if the dream wasn't real, was waking up from the dream real? both are going to be equally illusory.
So is there anything that is not a dream?
Yeah, reality. When you wake up, you'll touch it.
But that waking up,
By definition,
that
by-
waking up is that clarity which is part of the dream.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you fully reach the atonement consciousness, once you're through with the process, then you recognize that, holy shit, it was all a dream. Even my waking up was a dream. That's what the Course is trying to teach here.
Yeah, but that's a dream you want to have.
Oh, yeah,
That's a
obviously.
dream. You know, all
That-
dreams
that's
are
one
not
you wanna-
created equal.
That's one that you would really like.
Right. In fact, that's the dream.
That's why we're
the
here.
only dream. That's the only dream that you should be seeking.
That's what
Right.
this
All the
dimension
other
of time and
dreams-
space is for.
All the other dreams are dead ends.
Dead ends. This is the one.
This is the road. It's like a maze that all full of dead ends, and there's one path leading out of the maze.
And here we are.
But that's a good. That's not a bad analogy either, because even the path leading out of the maze is part of the maze. Until you're out of the maze, it is also part of the maze. It happens to be the road out of the maze. But if you just think about a maze like you would do when you were a kid,
Years ago,
that one path that goes out is, for
It's
the
a great
time being,
analogy.
part of the maze. Yeah.
years ago when I was working on the first book, there was a woman that I used to talk to and bounce stuff off and share thoughts with many times. And some time back around 2000, I shared with her the picture of what it is to be awake. And I used an analogy of a bottle. And I said, imagine for a moment that all of creation is comprised within the bottle. And all of the dimensions of time and space exist within the bottle. Ultimate reality is outside of that bottle. When you're outside of the bottle, obviously you can see everything inside the bottle. You see the people believing that what they see inside the bottle is reality, but there is another level which they can't get to until they get out. That was an analogy that I used, and I said, that's probably a good representation. Now, if you imagine, we're going to talk about God for a second, imagine God being that consciousness outside the bottle. God being the consciousness that the bottle is comprised of. God being the consciousness that the dimensions within the bottle are comprised of. All God, every part of it. And you're an integral part of all of that. The part that you focus on, the part that you accept as real for you, is where you belong within all of the context of what we just described. Go into a dream and believe in that dream, there you are. You're not going to escape from that as long as you maintain the belief in it. It has no control over you, except for, as you believe, so shall it be. Both in this dimension, that dimension, wherever you happen to find yourself within creation. All of it timeless. And an ever-present, infinite moment where your thoughts and beliefs, I don't care where you go, your thoughts and beliefs have to be honored and represent for you your picture. His creation we're talking about. On a very elevated level, mind you. The average person walking in the door is not going to gravitate towards this right off, okay? But what I'm sharing with you is the picture of what is. Whether you accept it or reject it, this, to me, it doesn't change what is. That's what is. The Course is basically trying to open people's minds to see everything within the bottle as part of a dream. Not just a dream, many dreams. A dream within a dream, such as the movie that Chris is talking about.
Inception, you'll love it.
Because that's exactly what it is. dimensions of time and space, when I said in my book, dimensions of time and space are an illusion. When I said the journey of soul is an illusion, that's what I meant. Someone's going to go to heaven, that's an illusion. Someone's going to go to hell, that's an illusion. Now, I'm not saying you can't experience it temporarily. You want to experience heaven, you will. You want to experience hell, you will. Not infinitely, but you'll experience it for as long as you hold it.
And even in this movie Inception, and I'm not going to ruin the film for you,
No.
just, I hadn't made the connection until now, that they also do they deal with the concept of time in the dream. A lot of it is dealt with that, and here's how they deal with that. They say that when you're in the dream, when you're dreaming, your mind is actually working much more quickly than in your awakened state. So like a minute in your awakened state is like an hour in your dream state. So, in other words, you can, then at the next level, an hour in that dream state is like a year in the next dream state. So time. So in other words, the movie also plays with this concept of time being quite relative to the plane that you happen to be on.
Frequencies. And this is where when you move from one dimension within creation to a different dimension, the whole concept of time is altered. Exactly right. It's not as we understand time to be here, and you play out a life, whatever it is, you play out 80 years, 20 years, and you're done. The duration of the second, the minutes, the hours, the years, and blah, blah, blah. And then we play out a life.
Right, but in God's eyes, that could be a blink of an eye.
And not even. I mean,
right.
Now we're gonna say in terms of eternity, it doesn't even really exist. It doesn't, in terms of eternity. And this is why we get hung up as human beings trying to make sense of creation relative to our position from a perspective of being human.
Well, what else can we do?
What we can do. Here's what we can do. What we can do is we can wake up to something greater that you're already a part of. You can wake up.
Right.
That's what we can do.
Right. And that takes a little faith. In other words,
it takes faith to start, obviously.
It takes faith to start, because you just have to say, this sounds real to me, this sounds worth it.
Sure.
And, so it takes some faith. There's a little bit of a leap of faith at the outset. Later on, that faith can be...
It gets replaced with knowing.
You can be confirmed, and you can have affirmations and so forth, and then you realize...
you wouldn't even bother to keep going.
But at first, it has to be...
It takes a leap of faith to start.
Right.
No question. I mean, I don't care what you're going to endeavor.
Right.
You're going to start a new business. You have to have a certain degree of faith that what you're doing is going to have an outcome that you would desire, or you're not going to begin.
Right, and 10 people can tell you why it's not going to work.
Whatever.
You just have to say, well, fine, thanks for your input, but, I
move forward.
I'm going to make this happen.
And this is why...
Or not. I'm going to at least take the risk. It doesn't mean, there's no guarantee. But you say, well, at least I'm going to give it my, my best effort. I think this is the right path.
Well, and I've said to many people that have asked me, well, why should I practice what you're talking about? And I say this. Okay, let's look at it from a judgmental mind. Let's see what's in it for you. Okay, I'm telling people, let go of your fears. Practice unconditional love in every given moment. Now, to a fundamentalist Christian that believes in heaven and hell, and they're going to be judged at the end, just for a second, imagine you lived the rest of your days on this planet, every moment, trying to stay centered and out of judgment and conveying unconditional love and being a channel for spirit to do whatever good could be done in the world, and you're going to be a conduit for practicing love. And then you die. And you haven't said, oh, I'm a good Christian and thank you, Jesus, every day. But you practiced unconditional love and you're standing before your Creator. Do you really believe that you could make a mistake by doing this?
Right. So either way,
it's a win situation. You can't lose.
Right.
You can't lose.
Right.
And that's why I tell people, look, do it. One, you can't lose. Two, I'll guarantee you this. You will see experientially that you will be at more peace.
Yeah.
You will find that your body is calmer when you don't engage the ego mind. When you practice staying out of your fear-based thoughts, at first it's difficult, obviously, but when you practice it and it becomes who you are, you're going to find you'll be at peace.
And that's personally.
It's a personal
experience. You're going to find
experience.
also that your relationships are going to be a lot better.
Relationships are
People
going to be
gonna
totally
like you.
different.
They're going to like really like hanging out with you because it's like, wow, that's cool. You know?
So that's what's
He's a
in it
cool
for
dude,
us.
You know, he's always nice. He's always helpful. He's always friendly. He's always not, you know, everyone else is getting uptight. He's cool. You know, yeah, all kinds of benefits.
All kinds of benefits.
Right.
And where's the downfall?
Right.
You know, yes, I'll guarantee you, you're not going to be able to devote all the attention, all the time and attention to screwing the next person and getting more for yourself. That you have to sacrifice. That's true. You know.
Hey, let's finish 7 because we were right in the middle.
Okay.
What is a miracle? A dream as well. But look at all the aspects of this dream, and you will never question anymore. Look at the kindly world you see extend before you. That's kind of what you were just saying. Look at the kindly world you see extend before you as you walk in gentleness. Look at the helpers all along the way you travel, happy in the certainty of heaven and the surety of peace. And look an instant too on what you left behind at last and finally passed by. That's just what we were talking about.
Just what we're talking about.
Yeah, you know.
See, we could have written this book.
Number 8, this was the ego. All the cruel hate, the need for vengeance and the cries of pain, the fear of dying and the urge to kill, the brotherless illusion and the self that seemed alone in all the universe. This terrible mistake about yourself, the miracle corrects as gently as a loving mother sings her child to rest. Is not a song like this what you would like to hear, want to hear? Would it not answer all you thought to ask and even make the question meaningless? That's poetic. This book doesn't usually rise to the level of poetry, but that's
Could you read the last sentence or two that you're referring to? Trying to grasp that.
this was all this the ego, the fear of dying, the urge to kill the brother. This terrible mistake about yourself, the miracle corrects, and now comes as a metaphor. The miracle corrects as gently as a loving mother sings her child to rest. Is not a song like this what you would long to hear? Would it not answer all you thought to ask and even make the question meaningless? Ah, that's beautiful, huh? 9. Your questions have no answer. Being made to still God's voice, which asks of everyone one question only. Are you ready yet to help me save the world? Ask this and... Okay, there you go. That's the question we're supposed to... And if you can answer that in the affirmative, then you're going to be... You're ready to walk that path.
You're ready to be one of God's teachers.
Ask this instead of what the ego is, and you will see a sudden brightness cover up the world the ego made. Right, if you're asking that question, then all the zillion ego questions become...
Move.
They just move. That's exactly right.
What's the question?
Are you ready yet to help me save the world? This is the question that I guess the Holy Spirit's asking you,
Okay.
and that you should ask yourself. And when you can answer that in the affirmative, then you're transformed. Then you've made the leap. Ask this instead of what the ego is, and you will see a sudden brightness cover up the world the ego made. No miracle is now withheld from anyone. The world is saved from what you thought it was. And what it is wholly uncondemned and wholly pure.
So basically what it's saying here is the moment that you accept the call, I mean, what does it say? Many are called and few are chosen. It probably should have said many are called and few choose. But
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
That's very badly
Yeah,
translated.
It is badly
Right,
translated,
right.
and that's probably the original.
It makes no sense. The way it's translated makes no.
It doesn't make many had chosen. It should be many choose.
Many are called,
Right.
few answer
the call. Right.
That's the way it should be.
It should be. Oh, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I only said it the way in which it was
I know.
written.
I know.
But the point is this: everyone is being called to wake up every given moment and awaken from this dream. When you answer the call to wake up, first of all, you have to acknowledge something. You have to say, yes, I agree with this. I agree with the fact that the world is not seeing reality. And I'm going to play my part. Now, the Course says everyone's a student, everyone's a teacher. It also says this: we teach what we believe. So, in other words, if I say, yes, I'm going to do this, then what I'm saying is, yes, I'm going to acknowledge that love is the ultimate reality, and I'm going to do what I can do to stay centered and focused in that. Thereby, you are a savior to the world. Is this not what Christ came to play?
When he was reading about saving the world, it's almost as if it's saying that all we have to do is wake up,
Right?
and we have saved the world because we've now accepted that it's all perfect
Yes.
and doesn't need forgiveness, and
Right.
it's been that light has been spread over the whole world. Let's see
Good.
which line was okay, that was in 9.
9, yeah.
Questions have no answers, still God's voice. Are you ready to help me save the world? Ask this instead of what the ego is, and you'll see a sudden brightness cover up the world the ego made.
Right.
And the world the ego made is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So this light dispels the darkness.
Mm-hmm. We went into the room and turned on the light.
Right, right.
Right, and you're saving the world in a very cool way. You're not saving it by volunteering at the Salvation Army. You're not saving it by, working to end hunger in the third world. You might do all those things, right?
But you're doing them without an attachment
But you're
to...
saving but this is how you save the world.
There
You
you go.
save the world by seeking enlightenment, by seeking the awakened state. That's the best thing you can do.
No miracle is now withheld from anyone. The world is saved from what you thought it was. And what it is wholly uncondemned and wholly pure. It just requires wake up, accept, love.
Yeah. At the very, very beginning, when we just heard that the Course did not want to define the ego because it didn't want to give credence to something that doesn't exist.
Right.
Right?
Right.
This is kind of the same analogy here.
Mm-hmm.
When you wake up to the world outside
Mm-hmm.
and you recognize it's a dream,
Mm-hmm.
this I've said for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
What would you fix within the dream when you recognize it's not real?
Yeah,
Okay? What is here to fix?
right.
Mm-hmm.
There is a perfection. And Jesus, when Jesus was here and Jesus said this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very confusing to Christians who don't see what we're talking about at this level. Father, I pray for those you've given me that no longer are of the world. Waking up, okay? He said, I don't pray you take them out of the world. Why would he? And I don't pray for the world. Now it starts to make sense why he would say it this way. I'm not praying for the world. There's a perfection, and whatever's out there, it's part of a dream, it's not real, I'm playing my part, I'm standing within the dream in the awakened state. Look at me, I am the light of the world. Now it's starting to make sense, some of the stuff that he talked about. I am the light of the world? What? Yes, absolutely was the light of the world, because he was standing and representing what is true beyond the ego minds. Not many got it, grant you. But that's irrelevant whether they got it or not. It was true. True then, true today.
Will you read the last?
Sure. Go ahead.
The miracle forgives, the ego damns. Neither need be defined except by this. Yet could a definition be more sure or more in line with what salvation is? Problem and answer lie together here, and having met at last, the choice is clear. Who chooses hell when it is recognized? And who would not go on a little while when it's given to him to understand the way is short and heaven is his goal?
Right. Who would stop walking on that path,
Right.
knowing that the goal is right there and you can walk it and you're on the right path? And yeah,
It'd be a very easy choice. We could see everything that clearly. It would be, as you say, obvious.
It's a duh. Yeah, it's a duh. It's like, you know, again, there's a parable in the Bible that talks about when you find the treasure, you would give everything in this world. Everything.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you have, your possessions of this world.
Right.
What would be important in this world when compared to the reality of waking up as your treasure?
The question popped into my head again. How do we test these little steps and so on? And as you answered me before, it's all in this book. There's all these exercises through the middle of the book. You do this, do this, do this. All these little trial things to get your mind adjusted
Yes.
to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a process.
maybe we should try that. Maybe we should try to take seriously the student workbook
You know,
and do that. I mean, they are exercises. There, what? How many are there?
365. There's one for every day of the year.
Yeah. Less than 399.
Yeah, there's 365 of
Oh,
them.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
You go through a whole year.
I would say this.
We could try to do that.
I would recommend you do that.
Because
You know-
I think I told you that I couldn't, I started reading it. I love the book, but then those exercises, just on your own, just reading them and trying to do them
I
on
got the
your own,
15
I
or
just
20,
like, whatever,
15 or 20
just
of them,
sort of lost.
For me, I'll tell you the truth. I had the experience before I looked at the book.
Yeah,
So I never did the exercises.
yeah,
You know, but I can see their value to someone who's of the human mind.
yeah,
And I can't even tell you, you know, how come I just woke up?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
woke up because
yeah,
I came into this dream
yeah,
to play the role of waking up.
yeah,
That's why I had that experience.
yeah,
And I empathize with people who are stuck in the dream and can't have that experience. That, you know, it'd be great.
and you're doing everything in your power to lead us to that experience.
I-
You are.
Okay.
If St. Peter's if St. Peter's there and there's a jury, you call me as a witness, okay? You call me as a witness. Bruce did everything that he could to share his experience and to try to wake us, help us.
Amen.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I got to say this, that for me over the years, what we've shared in here, and I've learned a lot from our interactions, trust me, you guys have been great. I love the interaction because it gives me a chance to learn how to communicate. And this is one of the biggest obstacles that we're facing here is I know what is, I know for me, and then how do I communicate it? I do know certain things, and by sharing them and repeating them and going over this and over this and over this, it gets clearer in terms of how to communicate it. 1. 2, I have to share this with you also, is I understand creation, the mechanics. When I talk about how it works and how I've seen it, and I know that's true. Absolutely know that's true. What I've struggled with is how do I incorporate my knowing into my day-to-day.
You've mentioned that often.
Yes, because it's a tremendous obstacle
Right.
to implement it into the day-to-day, because I have an ego mind, like we all have one. I know one thing. In order to experience fully what it means to be awake, you have to be it. I know I came here in this dimension to be enlightened. whatever that means. It means to stay awake within the dream. The average person is not going to quite get that. That's okay, that's fine. But my job is to just do that.
Okay.
To be that. Ultimately, that's your job. Not just my job.
Right.
It's your job.
Right.
I'm here to share with you what I know about the job.
Right.
I'm here to demonstrate the job. Then your job is to do your job.
Yeah.
Pay it forward. That's what we do.
I throw this out as an idea, just an idea. There are 365 exercises, okay? Trying to do them on your own, just yourself, you look at a certain point, you just, you know, using myself as an example, you just sort of lose interest in it. You have no one to share it with. You could never tell your girlfriend or your, you know, what you're doing. I mean, it would be absurd to anyone that wasn't doing it also, you know. But anyway, there are 365. If we thought that we were going to meet again for a year, okay, we could agree to do that. And you'd be doing, between each meeting, each of us would have done 7 of the exercises. And then we could get together on that Tuesday and talk about, you know, well, how did this one go, how did that one go? People could share their experiences and so forth. And then the next week you do the next 7, and we talk about, well, how did that go? How did, you know, the next 7 and the next 7, and that way we could actually go through all 365, sort of helping each other do that.
Groups are doing this, and
Groups are doing that.
they're doing it everywhere.
I could join a group that doing that.
I can tell you this, I couldn't make a commitment to being here for those because
Right.
I don't think I'm going to be.
Right.
I really don't think I'm going to be here that much longer.
Right.
Wherever it's coming from. Maybe,
But even if we
maybe I'm going to be taken out, but no. That's the ego talking. Things are going to be starting very soon.
But even if we started,
But even if we started, and even if I was not here, that doesn't mean that you can't
We
right down the
continue.
street,
You know what?
or maybe.
now you're okay.
You know.
Now this is really good, because let's say that life does, you know, wonderful possibilities open up for you, and then, you know, you move off to, you know, bigger and better things.
Well, bigger anyway.
Okay.
Not necessarily better.
But then, you know, what about the rest of us? Then we would just stop seeing each other and just stop. But if we had already begun
Right.
that process, okay,
Sure.
and we could meet at Starbucks. We don't have, you know, we'll find a place to meet. But if we had already, as a group, started that process,
You find
Then-
Spirit will find a way for the energies to keep going wherever
then
you want to take it.
if you did leave,
Sure.
then we could continue on with our thing.
No
you
question.
know, which would be a really nice thing for us. That it doesn't all just come to an end.
Sure.
Because you move on someplace
No.
else.
And by no means do I see anything coming to an end. No way. I mean, what I see is, I see things just going like this, and, you know, spreading on a
I'm going to
much
suggest that to
level.
Peggy. I'll bet Peggy would be interested in that.
Yeah, possibly.
I could
yeah.
sell that to Peggy.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Peggy and Mickey and
Yeah.
We could all do that.
Would you be interested in doing that?
Chris, the young Chris. Next time we see him,
Okay.
I know he was pretty taken.
Would Angie be interested in something like that?
You know, if Angie was interested in that, Angie
Yeah.
has a place over here, and there's a room, you know, that you guys could use over here if it comes to that.
But she's only here part of the year.
No, she's here year round.
Oh, I thought she was in
moved.
Maine or
No. They moved here permanently now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. So you know, just a thought that I would definitely suggest. As a matter of fact, I've said when and if I'm moved somewhere else, I really wanted to see you guys continue on,
Right.
And
This would
and
give us a
spreading
means to
and
do it.
sharing and one of the reasons why I had suggested we went over the section for the teachers at the end of all of this was because I do see you as teachers. There's no, the Course says we're all teachers, of course we are. But my thinking is, as the energies move and as we are awakening ourselves, we all have a responsibility to live that which we know and share it. And my hope was that everybody just continues on and shares, and you know, here it is, you pass it on to that one passes it to that one passes it to that one, and all
Because
the needless suffering is going to go away at some point.
Have you looked at those those lessons for the lessons for students type of thing?
I glanced at a couple of them.
Okay, let's look. Because I'm telling you, they are radical. They are
You think?
radical. You need someone. You need a support group to even attempt this. To if you're going to give it a real sincere try.
But I'll tell you this.
They are very, very radical. The things they ask you to do, not to do. It's not that you physically do them, but just the concepts they want you to wrap your mind around are very radical. So you kind of do need to be able to share. Like lesson one. Okay, lesson one. For example, on the first day of this,
Go ahead.
you have to, you know, and if you're going to do it sincerely, you have to say, okay, I'm really going to try to do this, right? Lesson one. Nothing I see in this room, or on the street, or from this window, or in this place, means anything.
No, again, stop right there.
Okay.
Stop right there.
That's hard. I mean, that's radical.
That's radical.
That's
But
radical.
now, take it to the level that Gary was just talking about. Take it to the physics level that now intellectually we can go and we can say, my view of this is positional. I have a perspective of what it is relative to my physical understanding of things. Take it to a higher level. If I had a microscope large enough and I could see the atoms in here, now I'd be questioning what I thought I knew. It's no longer true. So the Course is telling you to go there. It's saying nothing in this room, on the street, from this window, in this place means anything. It's telling you, let go of your perceptual view. That's it. Now it's a hard stretch, yes. It's very hard.
That's pretty.
It's
That's
hard.
pretty radical.
You're right. You're right.
And it doesn't get less radical. The second one is, I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning that it has for me. Lesson 3, I do not understand anything I see in this room, on the street, from this window, in this place. So it's pretty hard to walk through a whole day, to go through a whole day sincerely trying to say, I don't understand you. Nothing has any meaning here. I don't understand anything that I see. To
So you're
sincerely try to do that all day long.
reconditioning the